Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Zero Proof Life, our YouTube channel, which I am just loving and having so much fun with it. Aren't you, Becca?
I'm having so much fun.
Well, today we thought we'd bring up a topic. It's something that I've been hearing recently in, some of the groups that we're in, and it's a common one. And this is not an easy, I'm going to preface that. This is not an easy, oh, here's a clear-cut answer to this issue, but it's very real. And that's how we want to always be in the space, real and raw and honest about how things kind of go down. And this is how do I get over the guilt over what I did when I was drinking? And
It's
that's a
such a
doozy.
big one.
It is. And it comes up for a lot of people. And the good thing is Beck and I didn't know this before we got on and talked about like what we were going to talk about today, but we had two really kind of different experiences with this. So I like that. So you can hear two different versions of what it looked like, and always take what feels good and right to you and take that and run it and make it your own. For me, I struggled with this because it was real for me. I would have really some visceral reactions to some things that I did, and very guilty. I think 1,000% shame is mixed up in there too. So
100%.
I think it's
Absolutely.
important to
Yeah.
note that. And but I think also, number one, what I would tell people now that I'm, at this point, 9 years into this, I would say these things are going to come on strong initially, and be gentle with yourself. When you first stop drinking, this is not the time that you're going to work and sift through these things, because your nervous system has just had the rug pulled out from underneath it. And so you're going to be feeling raw and all the feels. To me, Becca, I slowly worked on this as I became alcohol free, and
Yes.
my nervous system was more settled. I could have a clearer, more rational mind as I approached it, and not like at the beginning, everything comes on really strong. So give yourself the gift to say, you know what, we're going to go there, but we're going to go there in a little bit. Right now, I need my body to just settle.
Yeah, big time. Because honestly, we don't even understand what we're feeling in the first place. Like our body is giving us some feedback, but we don't even understand what that is anyway. So we grasp onto the first thing it must be, and it's that regret and that guilt of what could have been different, and what, if you would have made a different choice in that moment or whatever. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah, big time.
Right. And again, it's to me also what I've seen, the last thing that you want it to become is your excuse to then go drink again. I
Absolutely.
can't, I can't,
Or your identity of, like making it mean something about you as a person.
that is huge. Becca, you always come out with these big, deep doozies.
Yeah,
But no,
there's
it's
something up
true.
there.
It's true. We really need to look at it. And again, we're going to say this, on repeat, but it's so true. I had to understand, um, and what it looked like for me is, it was something that I had to work through over time. And I knew I had worked on it, well and in the right way, when I knew I got to the point that I no longer looked at myself and wanted to just, oh God, like be disgusted with myself or angry or guilty. I honestly got to the point of looking back at the old me, that old Karla, doing those things and knowing I was doing the best that I could with
Mhm.
what I had at the moment, with the tools that I
Mhm.
had, which were none.
Mhm.
Um, and how you know that you've worked on this is I truly look back on myself then, and I desperately want to go give myself a hug. And I
Oh,
desperately
big
want to
time.
go tell her, like, it is going to be okay. And you've
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah.
And they're very real things. I think there's something to it. And how I got to that point was, you know, when I was feeling better, and kind of in this journey of being alcohol free, when things would come up, instead of really just shoving that thought of listen, I mean, cringe worthy moments would come
We've
up.
all done them.
Right.
We've all done them, whether you've hit what a quote rock bottom,
Right.
or you're just a casual drinker who maybe overdrinks socially. We all have done the cringe, right?
Yes, yes. And the cringe always comes right as I lay down to go to bed at night. And that's when my cringe likes to pop up in my brain and say, hey, guess
Yeah.
what? Remember when you did that?
Mhm.
Um, but it's really to, like, again, instead of shoving it away, and I'd love your thoughts on this, is just kind of leaning into it and
Mhm.
sitting with it and going, all right, that's exactly what happened. But then talking, through it again. One, you're not alone. You're not the first person that, had a cringeworthy moment, no matter what on the drinking scale. I know people that, believe me, sent texts that they did not mean to do, checked their phone the next day, and had cringeworthy moments on the rampage
Yes.
they went on the night before.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but just let yourself be with it, and
Yeah.
maybe even, just have a process of, forgiving yourself. And
Well, that's a big one. The
yeah,
forgiveness is huge. And for me, it was like, I mean, I had a coach, this just such a wise person. And she just said, don't believe everything you think. And there's a point in time when you just have to kind of separate what is the interpretation that you're giving it now and what are the facts. Well, the facts were that it's done and there's nothing I can do to change that, right? I can either learn from it or I can stay stuck in it. And so staying stuck in it just kept me broke almost. Like it just kept me it just kept me in a place where I was never going to move forward past it. So taking clear personal responsibility and knowing that we are 100% responsible for the way we respond to things. I was like, okay, so here are my two options ultimately. And there is this space in between of getting there. I wouldn't say that I don't have any. Well, I really don't have any regrets. There's a few things I wish I could maybe have a redo on, but so, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen, and it
right,
didn't like I didn't have those thoughts pop in too, or like, oh God, remember that time when? And I mean, I think there's so much space for self-compassion here, like you talked about, of just saying, hey, girl, it's okay. Like
right,
you were doing the best you were doing with in this moment, using the tools you knew how to use, which if we really want to backtrack it, alcohol is such a deceiver and a fraud that, it sold itself to us as the answer for survival. And so we did what we knew how to do. And that was numb it, you
right,
know?
right. And you're exactly right. This is where the deep work around coaching around alcohol comes in, and it's so powerful because really, ultimately, most of the time, the alcohol was the tool. The
Yeah.
alcohol was the tool that we were using to help us have that social event, feel like ourselves, and have fun and do all that stuff. And it's so interesting because after those cringeworthy moments, I never blamed alcohol. I only
Right.
blamed myself. I only was
Right.
disgusted by myself. I was like, oh
Right.
my gosh, what have you done? And then never blamed my precious alcohol because that was my tool. And
I mean, yeah, we cannot let it take all the fall. I
right,
mean, because again, it's, back to that personal responsibility. And while it's healthy to have that, it's also really important to remember that, alcohol is what it is. I think you are the one that always says alcohol is going to alcohol
yeah,
and it's
it's
going to
very
do what
predictable.
alcohol does. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, so
alcohol
it's
is
always going to
very, yeah.
look real pretty for us, but we know in the end it steals from us.
Yeah. So I think there's, forgiveness needs to happen, sitting in a moment and let yourself sit through it. Don't run away from it. Just like
Yeah.
let yourself feel it and move through it, and then forgive yourself. And then, there's again, then I think I shifted to, and I want people to understand, when you are walking into this alcohol-free journey, the impact and the ripple effect of this is so huge. And you will learn that all of those icks, all of those cringeworthy moments are what, has now made you the person you are today.
Yeah.
And I see it without fail. People that stop drinking, it happened to me, where I once was this person that, people looked at, and again, I don't know exactly how people viewed me, but I definitely wasn't the go-to person to get advice. I wasn't the, person that people looked at me like, oh, look at that confident girl. She knows what she's doing. All of those experiences made me the person I am today. And now, I can use those experiences as knowledge. I can use those experiences to help other people walk through their moments of,
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I just can't get past this. It makes us, who we are, and there's depth to that. There's wisdom from that. And, and so we can ultimately turn it around and see it as a gift because we've walked away from it. And again, ownership is huge, and we're big with that with ZPL. Like, as much as it's important to understand, that alcohol is usually the catalyst here that's causing things, it's ownership of what we've done.
Yes.
And being able to do that.
Yeah. And alcohol is just a symptom of, that. And I also want to point out, lastly, that you took one of the things that you were most ashamed of and turned it into a whole book. And it became your platform for people to see that, yes, we can heal our bodies. Yes, we can heal our hearts. We can heal our self-confidence. We can heal our self-worth. And so it is like, that's such a good point. Like, it's some one day, the thing that you are the most afraid of sharing could possibly be the thing that, that elevates you to be like, oh, wait, this is all a part of my plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yes.
again, and I promise you, because again, and that comes with time, and again, that's where we've started off at the beginning. Give yourself the gift if you're first stopping drinking, just let your body know we're going to approach forgiveness soon. Right now, we just need to focus on being alcohol free and how the heck to do this, because that's a lot initially.
It's very tough.
And then stepping into places. And I promise you, because this is what it's looked like for me, the places that I want to keep that door shut and not even take a glance. And I swear to everybody upside down, I'm not ever going to open that door again. That's exactly where you ultimately need to go look.
Right.
And, do the work. And that comes with time. Don't expect that of yourself initially right out the gate. Like, this is just work over time, and things will morph and change. And that thing that you're feeling so horribly guilty of. And I will share a fun story. I had this one cringe moment that I just couldn't let go. I thought about that. It was because it was this woman that I just love. She lives here locally, and oh my God, Becca, I had done something in a restaurant, and I won't even say what I said, but I just totally embarrassed myself. I mean, I totally embarrassed myself. And I felt over time, I built it up so much that it really reflected poorly as a person, as an individual. And I cringed about that for years. It would be my wake up moment of going, oh, what did I say to her? I can't believe it. Anyway, years later, and this was just recently, probably within the past year, I ran into her for the first time since. So it had been probably 10 years since this thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting my hair done, and she was sitting next to me. We both got, good Lord, what we look like in the chair. We're getting hair coloring does happen at this stage. And she's like, Karla, is that you? And she told me who it was. And I was like, this is my moment. I said, do you know what? I have to tell you something. I said, I have cringed over this moment. I went on to tell her what I said. Of course, she had no idea what I was talking about.
Of course she didn't, because we make it so big in our head.
I thought she built a whole idea.
Remember that?
Yes, she had nailed me, and this is exactly what she thought. And when people brought me up, she's like, ooh, but do you know what she said to me? She had no clue. And
so wild.
I told her. So you never know when you have those moments too, and let yourself find freedom and just, again, own it and say, I was very embarrassed by that. And the freedom will come. So there you have it.
Yes, so true. All right, y'all, make sure you like and subscribe to our page here. Let us know what you think of this video, please. And if you have any comments, or if you have any questions in reference to this, we are always happy to share our journeys with y'all.
Yes, thanks for listening.